using is that they are missing cognitive from the very basic cognitive empathy. They're missing it. And so you can imagine the affective empathy is totally in absentia. Now, research has consistently shown that empathetic leaders have more engaged, innovative, and loyal teams. And this ranges from the different spaces that we are in. Be you a leader in the space of communication, if you are empathetic, you realize that you connect better with your audience. You connect better to the people you're speaking to. If it's in a different space, say leadership in the space of business, you connect better with them if you are more empathetic. And actually, research shows that about 61% of employees, they feel innovative and in a better productive space when their leader is empathetic compared to 13%, which is when they're not. And so in this AI-driven world, technology-driven world, empathy becomes our strongest advantage as human beings. And so when we talk about AI coming to replace us, empathy is one of the areas where it will take a lot of time to actually train because of a number of reasons. When it grows the cognitive empathy, in the sense that it can understand the circumstances around the situation, it may never get the affective empathy, which is now feeling a part of what these other people are feeling. And so lack of emotion is something that is almost rampant online currently. Look at the copies that are being put out by communication entities. Look at the responses that are being put out there. They're losing the elements of empathy. And as a storyteller by profession, I can tell you this. Without empathy, then the conversation becomes very difficult. It is hard to engage. It is hard to retain an audience. And so what you experience over time is mental fatigue from interaction with humans without the element, or machines, or even copies without the element of empathy, which is our leading human advantage. So I think we now understand empathy. Now let's look at storytelling. I'm in the space of storytelling, and I can tell you this. There are facts and there are stories. So facts, basically, what facts do is they inform. However, stories are the ones that actually get to transform. In marketing words or sales words, you say convert. Facts just inform your audience or whoever you're targeting, but it is stories that actually get to convert. Because now stories get to be remembered up to 22 times better than facts alone. You know why? Because they engage emotion and create some sort of mental movies. You recreate the scenery. And so you get a 22% higher chance of remembering stories that you have been told. This is compared to facts, even though the facts may be so close to home. And sometimes, I'll give an example. We hear stories of, or rather statistics, facts, numbers. We say 1,000 girls are dropping out of school every year because of early pregnancies. Well, that is a fact. You may relate to it from a cognitive point. However, when it's given in form of a story, then audiences and the people you're speaking to and with understand you better. Here's an example now, what we do in journalism and encourage other people to do, or you will note what media houses do nowadays, other than just telling you 1,000 girls are dropping out of school due to early pregnancies, they give you stories. You hear, this is the story of Wanjiku, a girl in a village in Karatina. She was impregnated when she was in class 4 by a man who is known to the chief and nothing has been done. And then I tell you that that story of Wanjiko is reflected in 10,000 other girls in this country. I believe if you compare just the fact and the story, now the story feels a little bit different because now it speaks, it touches your emotion and it creates a mental picture. For an instance, when you hear the chief knows the guy, it gives you a feeling of either anger, frustration, you either get mad or feel helpless if you can relate to the situation. And the same principle applies in every context, especially when it comes to storytelling. There is room for just giving facts. Say for your brand, you can just say we launched our 2025-2027 strategic plan. That is a fact. It is something that is really serious and needs to go out there. However, without a story, no one cares, no one remembers, no one feels anything, and you will rarely convert from that. So what you want to do is attach a story to that. For example, you can, that's why we have case studies. Case studies in the sense that, say you're dealing with donor funding, we received Otieno, a slum dweller in Madare, was not able to attend school prior to our involvement. These are the challenges that she was going through. No uniform, no books, no lights at home. She could not study. And now the story converts and now becomes, now with this funding, Otieno has been able to, get light. Otieno can now have school uniform. She can now do her homework. And now she's catching up with the rest of the class. And that element of giving stories behind the numbers gives the weight and understanding, ensuring that your message then gets home. Eventually, if you play around with empathy and storytelling, you automatically create a connection. And with this connection, anyone who feels that you understand them, and then you make them feel it, then that combination now becomes easier to convert. Because with storytelling, I'll tell you what the difference between empathy and storytelling and how they complement. So empathy, as we said, it is you. Let's take it, three people. There is you, there's the message you're trying to communicate, and then there's the person you're communicating it to. So if you have empathy, if you are empathetic, what happens is you are able to feel, number one, to understand how the person you are communicating to, you actually understand them. There's also an element where you feel part of what they actually feel. However, this still does not affect the message that you have. The best way is through storytelling, because now through storytelling is, yes, you understand what the other person is going through, but through storytelling, you make them understand your side of the story. So you make them feel the story. So if they feel that you understand their story and they get an element of feeling your storytelling, then everything changes. From as simple as your boss, rather your juniors at the workplace, by the time, say, administrative issues, for example, let's address it, say absenteeism or late or low performances, you would relate to their circumstances, probably due to different things happening in their lives. But then through stories, which you can choose to strategically tell, and this is a skill you have to develop, then you are able to make them feel, or rather have a feeling of what you are going through and where that puts you. And so that has a very high chance of having quick turnarounds. And so in a case and in an era of digital content creation, then these skills really, really apply. If you're creating content, if you're putting copies out there, you want to ensure that you understand the audience's needs, and also you make the audience feel. And so I'll give practical sessions, uh, or rather practical examples of how to go about it if you want to create more connections. In a case where you're dealing with someone on the other end, there is the issue of presence. Now, being in a digital space, presence is what has been denied. For example, right now we're having a call with about 21 people. There is none who is having their cameras on. For the sake of illustration, I will put mine on for you to feel the difference. When you can see me, the connection now becomes a little bit different because you can feel the presence. You can actually see me. You can relate to me by the sense that you have added extra cues. So you might want to consider increasing visibility, turning on your camera more in meetings where you want to connect, because then your presence is felt. Empathy, you are able to see the other person and understand them, because you can read the non-verbal cues better, and you're also in a position to tell your story in a better way such that they can actually feel it, because in addition to your voice, you are giving them the advantage of the other non-verbal cues. For example, if I was giving a list and I was saying 1, 2, 3, I'm sure now you can be able to follow the directions I'm giving in comparison to if we were just counting when you're hearing my voice. The other bit you want to do is active listening. Active listening enables you, or rather builds the element of empathy in you, in the sense that even though you cannot effectively relate to what this person is feeling or is at, you can cognitively understand the circumstances in which they're in. And that is a critical step in building empathy, because that is critical. And the digital space is actually doing away with that. The reason why AI does, when you put in your queries on AI, it cannot respond and gives you feedback that is truly human, even if you're giving it tones of humanize this response, is because it lacks empathy in its completeness. Number one, it does not have the presence at all. And there's another element of active listening, which sometimes can miss because it's looking at providing solutions and answers depending on the details of your prompt. And so, as a human being, you have the advantage when you're interacting with other human beings, other than being present physically where they can see you and you're interacting with them, do active listening. Active listening is where you are listening not to respond, but you're listening to understand. If you're listening to understand, then you're in a position to ask follow-up questions. When you ask follow-up questions, your audience, the person you're interacting with, if they're speaking to you, then they feel that you can actually relate to them. And then you provide them an opportunity to tell a story. Because in a case where you have not understood, then it is storytelling that counts. And this brings me to my next pointer, which is vulnerability. With the digital space, AI era, how people have now been socialized, vulnerability is seen as sort of weakness. However, vulnerability in itself mostly comes in the sense of story, because for you to be vulnerable, you tell a real-time experience story of what has happened to you. And when the other person gets to listen to it, then they can feel you more. And so vulnerability in terms of short stories is really critical. In everything that you're doing, ensure there's an element of vulnerability. That is why you take your client through the process of making something. If it's a product that you're doing, you can get them through the process of acquiring it or the process of designing it, up to the very end when the product is ready for consumption or ready for the market. Now, all that said and done, as I conclude and open the field for questions, there's the space for humanizing everything that you're putting out, especially if you are aiming that it is going to be consumed by another human being on the other end. Humanizing is essentially what we have been discussing since the very beginning, ensuring it has an element of empathy where you can relate to actually what your audience is going through or their experiences. And it also has an element of storytelling where you are trying to paint a picture, a mental picture of your side of the story to your audience. And that way we have complete communication that is actually going through. And so um, there's another thing to humanizing, which Sharon has applied to this meeting, and it was very interesting observing that, which is, you know, being intentional about spaces of humanization. We had the option of starting off this meeting and diving right into this PowerPoint presentation as I am actually putting it out to you. But then Sharon took the opportunity to humanize this by asking us, how have you been? And how has your interaction with AI made your life better? Everyone here who was listening or contributed feeling that other people are actually using AI. I can relate to their story. I have a feeling like theirs. It's making their work easy. I can relate to that. And that is what you actually want to do. And while connection is something good to have, this digital space now has a lot of noise, either from disconnection, AI, misinformation, how people are being socialized. But returning to these basics makes your communication skills, or rather avenues, more relatable and more personalized, such that if you have a message, it gets to the person it's intended to, and it is understood in the manner in which you wanted it understood. Connecting the other way with things that we call biases in communication. So that you reduce the room for them to misinterpret what you could be meaning with this. And so I am putting out a challenge to all of us as you step out and practice leadership in the spaces that you're in. Be intentional about, being empathetic and storytelling. And part of that is you can choose from the list of 5, what do you want to apply? Do you want to turn on your camera more often for you to be present? Do you want to be seeking clarifications and asking questions where you do not understand as part of active listening? Do you want to share personal stories or stories that you actually can relate to as a point of vulnerability? Are you willing to humanize the data that you actually have in the messages so that the people understand the why and not just the what that's there, so that they can reason with you in the spaces that you're in? And can you be deliberate about creating intentional spaces that people have this human check-in moment, like where we are speaking about how our week has been or how AI is making our work easier? And with that, I'd love to hear your thoughts and answer any question that may arise regarding today's conversation. Thank you, Sharon.
Wow. Wow. Amazing. I mean, I just love the perspective that you brought. And I mean, I think I had a very different, I had a very different explanation to the topic and what, but the way you just put it out, I mean, I'm just asking myself, okay, why didn't I see it like that? I mean, you've done an amazing job, an amazing job. And I love the last slide that you've talked about, 5 things you can start doing today. And for me, I will start asking questions more and asking and sorting clarification for the. I mean, I'll just because I've been really maybe shying away from asking questions, and I'll listen carefully and also ask questions. So, ladies and gentlemen, help me in appreciating David with all the emojis that we have. I have also seen someone here. I've seen Dan Kaburu somewhere. I don't know if he's still in. Let me see. Hi Dan, how are you doing?
Hi Sharon, I am fine.
Yes.
Good to see you. Good to see Kagina doing something great. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. It's great.
Thank you very much, Dan, for joining us. Dan is the father, is our father in the industry. And I mean, his perspectives are just amazing. And I think it's high time we start listening to you more, Dan. And because Kagina has done an amazing job when I mean clarifying the empathy, and I just love the way he's brought about this the act of storytelling, and the way he used Wanjiko and telling the story of Wanjiko. I mean, like literally telling this is Wanjiko, this is what Wanjiko is going through, and this is how Wanjiko relates to other girls in Laikipia, Nyandarua, Pokot. You know, it's very good to have that the touch of storytelling, and you've also mentioned something about the way we write our captions. And I don't know if I'm the only one as a social media manager. Sometimes I ask ChatGPT to give me a caption and I'm like, nah, this is not what I wanted. This is not what I wanted. It sounds very ChatGPT-ish. Many people will just know not only but rather than those things. And I mean, like we've really been skipping the part of storytelling, and that's what has been lacking in our even in our captions. We've not really been telling the story, especially in the NGO world, in the development space. We've not really been talking enough about the work we do and the people we've touched, the lives we've touched. Because sometimes in our work, and especially those who are working in the NGO, impact is very important when reported, one, to the donors and also to the people, to our audience. And many a times we don't report the stories, or we just give cliche stories, and we don't actually tell the stories of our beneficiaries, the one that we have worked with, the one that we don't give those stories. And to us, even as Kagina winds up this session, it's a wake-up call for us as communication experts, as people in the field of telling in AI, telling stories in the AI world. We need to actually tell the story. And one of our theme for conversations that connect is African stories are ours to tell, boldly, truthfully, and with pride. And I think it's high time we started telling our stories with a lot of pride and boldly to the world, so that we don't even erase our culture, African culture, even when we tell the story. So, call to action this week. So practice one thing to do from today. Yes, so everyone to please drop in the comment section what you're starting to do today. Yes, let's hear from us. What is one thing you're starting to do today? Maybe Kagina, you can just go back to that slide, and then we give people a few minutes to just type in the chat box and just say what is one thing we are doing from today. I said mine is listening more and asking questions. So let's hear from you guys. What is one thing that you're starting to do today? You can also raise up your hand and just talk and give you feedback as well. Sasa tunajua watu watanyamaza. Let me do this. I've seen Glenn here. Hi, Glenn. MC Glenn, it's good to see you here. Please, okay, Tawa. I'll go first to Bukayo because I've seen her hand is up, and then I'll also now go back to Glenn and then Zidi. Yeah, and then we'll continue in that order. So let's see. Bukayo, you can go ahead.
Thank you, Sharon, and thank you, Kagina. That was a really good session. You've built a perspective and a lens that I had not really like seen in that manner before, and that is like building presence through storytelling. Like it is the whole idea of us doing the whole putting the whole story there, the impact or whatever is to customize from our own experiences and all. So for me, what I am taking is like it's easy to just process what we are experiencing through social media and the digital spaces. But now, from after this session, I want to pause more and like ask better questions to ensure that I build my presence and also the presence of the person on the other side of the screen is seen, and that will build like more contextualized and intentional, I think, response session or learning. Yeah. So I think that would be how I'd be more intentional in digital spaces while using AI as well. So thank you. And
Amazing, amazing. Thank you. Kumbe sisi watu wa perspective, we were many. I don't know where our minds were, but yeah, I know. All right. Thank you so much, Bukayo. Indeed, we can tell our story more. Next, we have Glenn. Is Glenn still in the call? I don't know. Let me just check again. Glenn, are you in a position to talk? Okay. Sawa. All right. Let me see. ZD. MCZD, are you in a position to talk? Hiya. All right. So he says he's not in a position to talk, but he can write. Okay. Let me read the comments, and then we can have Elvira and Christine after I've read the comment, and just tell us what is one thing that you're taking home. Let me see. So, okay. So Joe says, I will be more active listening and not just interact and seek a lot of clarity. Yeah. So he'll seek more clarity. Vincent said, active in social media. I have been reading most of the comments in my social timelines, but rarely contribute. Yeah. And I think it's very important to reply to your comment section, especially if you want to push your brand, and it also helps build the authenticity of your brand, and just show that it's not a bot. I mean, an AI bot replying. And yeah, so thank you very much, Vincent, for that. And then we have Modoni. Modoni said, being intentional and authentic in interactions and communication workspace. Interesting. Adam says, I will be a good listener and be a critical thinker. Dorcas says, I will be an active listener and seek more clarity. You and me both. Ensuring I am seen, heard, and understood in my storytelling. Amazing. That's a very good perspective. And I love the way you said about ensuring you're seen, heard, and understood. And most of us tend to shy away to give our perspective. And we were like, how will people see me? How will people think about me when I just give my perspective? And this presentation is a wake-up call to all of us. So we ensure that we are seen, we ensure that we are heard, we ensure that we are understood. Okay, so Consolata also says, building meaningful connections in storytelling. Amazing. Okay, so thank you very much for participating. Kindly continue chatting, texting in the chat box. Let me know what you guys are taking home, and what is one thing that we really start working on starting from today. Higher. The other thing will be, who's the other one? Christine, we wanted to hear from you.
Okay, good evening, guys.
I don't know if I'm the only one. Christine,
What I'm
we
taking
lost
on
you
is
initially.
just actually peak.
Okay, we can hear you now.
Like I'm hearing
I'm
some
hearing
close.
some
Like
close.
it's like a
It's like please come again.
what I'm taking right literally is to also be an active listener and sharing on vulnerability. I've been trying on that, and it's like I have a block on that area.
Hey, we actually lost you again, Christine. I think your network has a problem.
When I'm
But
writing,
from
scared
just,
because what people are
okay,
googling.
from what I heard was you said you will share your vulnerability, right? Yeah, starting, and I mean this is one thing that really works well, to share your personal story, to share your personal. Sorry about that. So yeah, to share your personal stories. I feel like people really relate more when you talk about yourself, when you talk about your personal experiences, when you share your personal stories. And most many people are not comfortable with it, but it takes time. It takes time to be able to build and just talk about your experiences, whether good or bad. I mean, and it really brings a lot of traction because people can relate to your storytelling. Ahem. And Jane, Jane, we can hear from you. We have a bit of time. We can have a few more people. Jane, we can hear from you. Uh-huh. Let me see. Oh, she's not in the call. She left. Okay, sawa. All right. Maybe we can hear from Dan Kaburu. Hata tusikie sauti yako. Watu wasikie sauti yako. Please Dan, as a seasoned storyteller, what is one thing that you have been doing, or what is one thing that you want to improve on?
Ah, thank you. Thank you. Like you just mentioned, I've been in the space for some time, and again, there's no end to learning. So we are here to learn and learn and learn and keep on learning. So learning has no end in as much as we've been here for some time. So actually, what I want to do currently is to learn more on the use of AI. There are some areas which I'm not yet quite good, which I think I need to improve on, even to make myself better, my career better, and my reporting, because we're still telling the climate stories. So mine from today is to focus a little bit on learning more in depth of AI, though the work I do, much of it we normally want to remain quite original, but again, you have to balance the two. So that is what I'm pursuing to do. Beginning today, I feel challenged. Thank you, David, for challenging me one more time. David ni kijana yangu. Anyway, it's good to listen to the people you've at least contributed to their growth, speak about a few things in there. So I'm quite encouraged, and thank you, Sharon, and the team for preparing this. Nimejipata tu nikaingia tu nikasema, let me hear what people are saying here. And you guys are having a nice discussion. I can see Fazu there all the way from Father Island. This is nice. It's a good thing. Thank you, guys.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you, Dan. I mean, yeah, learning is continuous, and where I work, we have a motto of learning for life. So learning never really stops. Every single day is a journey to learn, and yeah, so we are really learning. And Kagina, you've done an amazing job. Hey, you've really opened up our eyes, you've opened up our brains. I mean, like we are really thinking about, I mean, what is one thing that we want to improve on? What is one thing that we've not been doing right? What is one thing that we've, all those things. And thank you so much for this wonderful presentation. And also the other thing, which is very important and what we really try to do as Dayton is to bring people together, either in learning and also in networking and meeting. And that is why we are having our meeting, our conversations that connect in Mombasa. Tumeletea wakina Fazu karibu, now that they are in the coastal region. We are bringing conversations that connect in Mombasa. It is to target the people from Mombasa, Kwale, Lamu, Mombasa itself, and Kilifi. And we just want to create a space where people can network, people can tell their stories, people can learn, people can engage. And of course, you don't want to miss that. Please see us, talk to us, and just let us know how you would want to participate. It is happening in Mombasa. We'll confirm the venue in our next class. We'll have finalized on everything, and we're going to share. So we are going to share with you the posters in the group as well, the registration link, and of course, feel free to attend and just learn and network. And one thing that I've learned in the communication space and also in the space of storytelling is that you need a network. You need to be in a network for you to thrive. You need people, you need communications people, you need a community for you to be able to thrive. And one thing that we do at Dayton is to really, really build the community for the people, to build the community where people can just come learn and more so network. And it's our joy to see people working together. And so it's amazing to have all of you here. And once again, thank you very much for joining. And I am going to share our participant list in the chat box. Please fill the sessions that you've participated in. We have 6 sessions. This is the 4th session, so 2 more remaining. And we are going to offer you certificates. Everyone who attended this masterclass is going to get a certificate by the end of the session, which ends on 9th of July. And our event is happening in 24th of July. So I'm sharing that. I've also shared our WhatsApp group link. If you want to be part of our community, please feel free to join. We normally do this frequently. We have different master classes that happen in different days and different cohorts. And I mean, sometimes it's free, sometimes it's paid for, and whatever you get from these master classes is something that you will not have gotten anywhere else. So it's also amazing to have you here. So please fill the participant list and also join the WhatsApp group. And finally, allow me to take it back to David so that he can give us our closing remarks. And anyone else who wants to just say something, and then we can end our class for today and see each other on Thursday. Thank you very much. Over to you, David.
All right, thank you so much, Sharon. I'm excited to see Dan around here. He's my senior. He's among those who held my hand when earlier in my career. I really appreciate that. For my closing remarks, take us back to the context in which we're in. We are in Africa, and generally speaking, oral storytelling has been a tradition in our society for years, decades, way before colonialism, and even way before the modern digital communication that we talk about. So we really have that as a cultural strength, storytelling. And now we need to bring them online deliberately, ensuring that these stories that we tell orally, natively, can now be seen and are out there to be visible by wider audiences and have a better impact, since we are telling them in a manner that we not only relate to their situations, but they can also feel us and understand us. That's it from me, unless in case there is any queries or you'd love to engage more on the topic and other topics in the space of media and communication, my contact will be available with Sharon. Thank you so much.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you very much, David. And of course, I mean, it's always good to have you here. It's always good to have you on board, and be looking forward to more and more of this. And yeah, so thank you very much. And once again, thank you everyone who has made it on time for this particular class. We want to thank all of you for joining. And yes, we hope to see you in the next one. So have a lovely evening ahead, and please fill the participant list. It is going to help us in getting the certificate, so that we have your records right. So yes, I'm also sharing the link to the event, so please join. That's also the link to the event. Yes, and those who have not joined the group, please join, and feel free to just build a community and just belong somewhere. Yes, with that, with a lot of words from me today, I want to wish all of you a lovely night, and thank you very much for joining. All right, see you in the next one.